Hello everyone. Today I'm doing a video on how to assemble this attractive looking side table from IKEA. It's called the VEJMON or VEJMON. In Swedish, I believe it would be pronounced VEJMON. The J would sound like a Y, but don't try that at the IKEA store as you're just going to confuse the salespeople. Just call it a VEJMON. Now, as you can see here, it's a side table. It says it's black and brown. It's just a really dark brown. Almost looks black. And the article number of the piece I'm putting together today is the 401.366.81. That's the IKEA reference or article number that they use. Again, it's available in three different colors. The one I have is, as you can see here, the dark black brown one. It does come in a tan wood laminate and also in white. So up to you what you get, but I'm doing this one here. As you can see, it's a fairly attractive side table. It's $99.99 US. I actually paid $69 for it on sale, so maybe call up the store, see if they have it on sale, and go and get it. It's a good deal at $69 I found anyway. So here's a picture of it as acting as a side table, and here is a picture of the actual surface of it, so you can see how it's nicely made. So again, I thought it was attractive, so I bought it. Now, if you want to know if your local store has it, you can check your store availability here on this webpage. Again, I'm going to put this in the video description, a link to this webpage in the video description below. So that's available there. Also available on this page are the assembly instructions. You can download them here and have a look at it before you buy it to see if it's going to be too intimidating for you. But just watching this video, you should actually understand how hard it's going to be to do for you. And I got to say, it's a fairly basic assembly. It's nothing really too complicated or too convoluted. It should be straightforward for most people without any issue at all. So the only tools you're going to need for this table to put it together, the one tool you're going to need to supply is a number 2 Phillips screwdriver. The second tool you're going to need comes with the actual table itself or the kit, assembly kit, and it's just a 8mm, 10mm open-end wrench, or as the English would say, spanner. And it basically does exactly what it needs to do, which is tighten down the bolts that assemble this whole table without any issue at all. So it works just fine. So let's scroll down for the one more piece of information most people want from me when I'm doing these videos. And number 1 is the package measurements and weights. They want to know how big the box is, how many boxes it comes with. It comes with one box. The width of the box is 24 3/4 inches or 63 centimeters. The height is 3 inches or 8 centimeters. The length is 24 3/4 inches or 63 centimeters again. And the weight is 21 pounds, 11 ounces or 9.85 kilograms. So it's fairly a nice weight for what it actually is. It's a fairly solid table when it's fully assembled. And again, I will show you how to do that here in a minute. So most people, this box will fit in their trunk without much of an issue. At least I would think so. So next thing I'm going to show you how to do with this table is to basically I'm going to do is take everything out of the box, show you all the parts and pieces that come with the actual table, which is something you should review before you even attempt to assemble it, to make sure that you have every component you required to put it together. Otherwise, I would say take it back to IKEA and have them either replace it for you or give you the parts you need. Also, check for damage prior to beginning your assembly on every panel or piece of the furniture, because sometimes in shipping they get damaged. So do all that, and then after that you'll be ready to go. Just follow my instruction. You should be able to put it together quite simply. Okay, let's take everything out of the box. Flip it over here. Come on. Manual. Check for damage on everything. Looks good. Spacer. No spacer. Legs. Okay, that's good. That's the middle shelf. And the top. There are all the components to this table. You see I have the top plate there, the middle shelf over here, 2 legs, which comprise of 4 legs, but 2 sets of U-shaped legs there. Of course, the manual and a bit of hardware over here. I'm going to go over the hardware with you, and as you can see, it's a fairly simple table. It shouldn't be much of an issue to get it put together, and I'll show you how I do it. Okay, well, when I unboxed it, I checked it to make sure that we didn't have any damage to any of the pieces, and they look perfectly fine. There's not a scratch, ding, or dent on any of them. So that's your first step. If you find any damage on the pieces, then just take it back to the store. And that's why I do the unboxing, so that you can rebox it exactly how you got it. So at this point, we're going to check the hardware. First, we're going to start with the foot pads. And you have a picture here that looks like 4 cylindrical pads, but really this is what they are right here. You can see the reflection there, that they're cut out, so they're felt. Okay, so that's your foot pads there, and then we'll continue on with the rest of the hardware. Got a wrench, no problem, that's what we're supposed to have, one of those. These screws, we're supposed to have 4 of them, so let me check and make sure, and yes, I have 4. So yeah, absolutely go through your hardware, make sure you got all the hardware you need. 4 of these half moon clips right there, so we got those, and 4 of these nuts. There we go. Oh, I see 3 here, 4, there we go, 4 of the nuts. And basically make sure you've got the rest of the table hardware as far as the wood is concerned. We do. And at this point, we're just going to put it together. All right, note that I'm working on carpet. They suggest to work on carpet to protect the finish on the actual table. So I'm going to flip the top piece. This is the table top, like so. There we go. And the next step, according to the manual or to the instructions, is to put the secondary shelf on top of the tabletop. So we'll do that. And we're going to be matching these holes with these round pegs here, or round holes here too. So next so that's first step. Okay, so tabletop shelf aligned with the holes all the way around. Next, we're going to put the legs in there, and the legs should go on with this. This should be the first part with the U cut out in the top of it, according to the instructions. So that's important. If you do it backwards, it won't work. So the U on top. Let's do that. And the pegs go into the outside holes, and the studs go into the inner holes here. Okay, so I'll give you a close-up on that as it's happening. Here's my close-up on fitting these legs onto the actual table top, and you can see here where the peg, if I had a little bit better light, peg there goes into the outside hole, and the stud goes into this plastic piece here. So we're just going to fit it down in there and basically push down on it till it's flush to the top of the table. Okay, so make sure we're flush all the way across on this side, and the same on the other side, right? Okay, once we've done that, I'll get you some better light here. Here's a better look at the leg meeting up with the tabletop, and you can see that the shelf is already here and lined up with that as well through this slot. This screw right here is what we're going to screw down to lock it, but we don't do that yet. We've got to put the second set of legs into the table, so we're going to do that next. So the next step is to put the second set of legs in, and as you can see, the U cut there. Legs go into that slot there like this, and into the appropriate holes in the table top at the bottom. So do that right there, line them up. And again, make sure that the base of the legs mates really flush with the tabletop, and you just push down on them to get that to happen. Verify that on both sides. I've got that. Now we're ready to lock those down. Okay, so let's lock it down. Basically, you take this Phillips screw here and turn it clockwise till it snugs down. And again, make sure that the leg is snug against the tabletop here. So we'll just do that. There we go. It stops when it's locked down. So that's one. We'll do the rest here. Again, make sure it's snug to the tabletop. And it's about a turn, one full turn around clockwise into that, turn that screw or lock. Do it again. There we go, nice and snug. And do the fourth one and then check them all, make sure they're all nice and snug when you're done. Okay, snug. Yep. All right, we're done with that. Next, we're going to put the feet, the felt bottom on the legs of the table, and after that, we're going to secure the middle shelf. So next, we're going to put the felt pads on the base of the legs so that they don't scratch any surface you put it on. And all you got to do with these felt things is just bend the sticker till it comes off, like so, and adhere it in the center of the piece of wood or the leg, right like that. And so, like that. Next, we're going to flip the, next we're just going to do the next step, which is, I believe, putting in the middle shelf. Midway on the legs, you'll find an embedded bolt or threaded, an embedded nut threaded in there. And what you're going to do here is we're going to put these 4 bolts that came with the kit with the bare end facing outwards. You'll see that. Let's see if you can see that on the camera. I'm not sure whether you can or not. You'll see here where it has a, let me put some more light on it. Maybe that'll help. There we go. Where it has an unthreaded part of the bolt, that faces towards the outside of the towards the middle of the table, actually. So don't put that into the leg. Put the threaded end all the way in. So if you're not clear about that, just look at the instructions. They'll show you a picture there about how that goes, and you'll see the part of the bolt that does not have a thread. So we're just going to hand tighten those in there. And nice and snug, but hand tight. You don't need to go any harder than that. That's one. So let me turn it from there to the next one. Again, that non-threaded side facing outwards. Right here. Hand snug. You can put it in as tight as you want with your hand. It won't hurt it. There we go. And one more. And I'll give you a close-up of what that looks like when I'm done here. So there we are looking at the stud into the leg, and you can see the unthreaded part here facing outward, and that's the way every single one should look. And hand snug as tight as you want with your hand. Won't hurt them, and it's probably the proper way to put those in. So next, we're going to move on to the next step, which is putting the rest of the fasteners, which will hold the middle of the shelf, on these bolts or studs. So next we're going to put these plastic half moons in there, and they should be facing in this direction towards the leg, like so. And then we're going to just put the nut on the end here and just loosely, clockwise thread it in, okay? Not too far, but far enough, okay? So we're going to do that with every one of them. Yeah, and the nut, just so you can see the orientation, has a flared end. The flared end goes towards the leg. So that's all four. Next, we're going to secure the middle shelf down using using this hardware here. Next, we're going to flip the table over while supporting the middle shelf, and it's going to land on these on this hardware here. So let's do that. And I'm bringing the shelf up to the hardware just to make sure we're good. I'm backing the nut off a little bit on that one, and yeah, this one too. So I put the nuts in a little too far. So back them off. Make sure they're going to fit, and they do now. So now we're going to flip it while supporting the shelf down onto the hardware. Okay, like so. And we're almost finished. We just got to lock those supports down underneath, and I'm going to show you that next. Okay, now the table's sitting on the floor correctly. In other words, upside right. In other words, the way it should be when it's finished. But this middle shelf is not secured. It's just resting on these pegs at this point. As you can see, this is a little floppy here, and it needs to be secured. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finger tighten it down till it's snug. And then I'm going to do that with every single one of them all the way around. There are four, so I'm tightening the nut clockwise here, and you can see that half moon is starting to take and fit into that circle really nicely there. So I'm just going to keep going until I'm finger tight, like so. And you'll notice here that the edge right here is snug to the wood, okay? So I'm going to try and do that with all of them, but I doubt I'll be able to do that with all of them. So next one I'm going to do is, I'm just going to do a 90-degree turn on it, like this. And I'm pushing down on the top of the shelf while I'm doing this to make sure that it goes down as far as it can on these supports, right? So let's do that again. Making sure you can see what I'm doing here. And try to keep that half moon as level as possible. There we go. Do the next one. Again, pushing down on top of the shelf. And then finger tight. Now you'll notice here on this side that there's a larger gap between the shelf and the leg. And that's to be expected as the other side's already snug to the leg. So this is going to be pulled in tight here and bridge that gap once we get the wrench on it. So I'm just going to do the last one, which will have the same, well, no, that one doesn't have a gap. There we go. And that's it. So at this point we take the wrench out. That came with our kit, and we tighten down every nut. So I'm going to do that next, and I'm going to do it snug or until I can see that it's flush here, flush right here against the leg. So I'm pressing down on the shelf here just to make sure it's down as far as it can go onto these supports, and let's tighten it up. I'm maintaining pressure from the top to keep the shelf from moving up when I'm doing this. And I'm pushing the half moon up a little bit here as I go. So when I'm turning it with a wrench, I'm pushing up on the bolt and I'm pushing down on the top of the shelf. Now it doesn't have to be super tight, just nice and snug. That one seems pretty tight there. I'm not going to go any tighter than that. I can see that this particle board is starting to deform a little bit. That's plenty tight. So I'm just going to turn it and do the next one. And I'm probably not going to go as tight on this one as I did on the other one. So again, pushing down on the shelf and pushing up with the wrench when you're going clockwise. That's it. Doesn't have to be that super tight. It's a good, strong support. Again, pushing down, push up on the support. That's it. And this will be the last one. Pushing down the shelf, push up on the support. Nice and snug, and let's go. And if the half moon sticks out a little bit, don't worry about it. You know, mine do, but that doesn't really matter. It's still secure and tight. And notice there's a gap on this side here. So I'm going to tighten this down until that gap goes away. And then I'm going to check the gap on all of them to make sure that it's nice and snug against the leg. Okay, gap is gone. Bolt is nice and tight. Just check all the rest of them. No gap. Nice and snug. No gap. Nice and snug. There's no gap there either. And it's nice and snug. So that's it. The table's fully assembled. I'm going to give you a full shot of it so you can see what it looks like fully completed. And that'll be it. I'll wrap it up. So there we have the finished product, the VEJMON, or VEJMON, pick one of those three names. Side table from IKEA. I really like the way it looks, the finish, the color, and the design to me I find really appealing. It's got a nice sturdy construction to it and a good weight at 21 pounds. You know, it's going to serve me well for the purposes that I bought it for. That's it for my video. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video and it helped you out in some way, do me a favor. Click on the thumbs up button on the bottom right hand corner. Give me a thumbs up. I appreciate that. It helps my videos and it helps my channel. Also, if you want to see further videos from me in the future, somewhere on the screen here there'll be a picture of me. Just click on that picture and that'll subscribe you to my channel. And anytime I release a new video, you'll get an update telling you that a new video has been released by me, and you can watch that. Okay, well, once again, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for watching.